Who is Arataki Itto? Despite wanting to appear as someone who others should fear, Itto is mostly a kind person with a joking and lighthearted personality. He's the first and self-proclaimed greatest head of Inazuma's Arataki Gang. He's highly respected by his gang, and he's liked by most of the people of Inazuma, though he is frequently at odds with the Tenryou Commission and Kujosara, despite him and his gang's crimes being nothing more than just harmless antics and pranks most of the time. Hi guys, I'm Slick, and today we're going through the entire lore of Arataki Itto. Subscribe if you enjoy learning about the lore of Genshin.
I'm the head honcho of the Arataki Gang, and everyone knows my names. I have many. Arataki, the one and only Itto. Arataki, the Oni Sumo King Itto. Arataki, the pride of Oni Itto. Arataki, Beetle Gladiator Itto. Arataki, the ultimate TCG champion Itto. Arataki, he might lose, but he'll never admit defeat. Anyway, these are some of the ones I usually go by, so go ahead, take your pick. I'll respond to whichever one you choose, I promise. You're welcome.
Itto is an Oni and takes a lot of pride in his Oni heritage, his key traits being his Oni horns and his loud voice. Itto is very much a free soul, always in search of adventure and always joyful wherever his spirit takes him. He very much dislikes anyone who discriminates against his kind though. He recognizes and is always grateful for the sacrifice made by the Blue Oni to ensure that their kind could be accepted into present-day human society. Itto always sticks by the age-old pact to never use his strength for malicious purposes.
The Oni have been through a lot to get to where we are today. And look at us now, living peacefully alongside the humans. Unfortunately, there's still plenty of people out there who've got a bone to pick with us. Change? Oh yeah, things are gonna change, all right, you can count on that. But I'll tell you what, it won't involve any sucking up to the humans on my part, nuh-uh. I'm gonna let my actions do the talking. They'll come to respect me eventually.
Due to Itto's pride, he is extremely competitive, though he knows when to concede or when he's going too far. He can usually be found in Hanamazaka, and it's not hard to notice him in his enthusiasm. He claims to be the first and greatest head of the Arataki Gang, which he founded. He tried explaining his duties to some of the Tenryou Commission officials when they came to him to investigate a street brawl, though it was rather harmless. After a couple of minutes of him explaining, they interrupted him before marking him down as unemployed, though that's not entirely accurate. But the shogunate does not acknowledge gang activities as work. Itto often does odd jobs for money when he needs it, usually working one day before taking the next 3 off, plus gang activities. See, he's productive.
Oh, so they're saying I can't hold down a real job, huh? Well, sorry to break it to you, but I'm a delinquent. That means it's my job not to have a real job. And if anyone's got a problem with that, who's got a problem with that, huh? You got a problem with that? You got a problem with choking. Sorry, I got a little worked up there. Where was I? Oh yeah, so work isn't really my thing, but don't worry, I don't rob or steal or anything like that. When I'm really running low on funds, I just take the odd job here and there to make ends meet. You know, like transporting stuff, delivering documents, helping businesses attract customers, just enough to keep the wolf from the door.
Unfortunately for Itto, his reputation in Inazuma City leaves much to be desired. Although he's not considered a villain by the public, he's certainly not a law-abiding citizen. He's not seen as a huge threat to anyone though. This scenario used by Inazuma's people to discipline their children better explains it. One of the threats to the misbehaving children is if you don't behave, the great Mujina yokai will grab you and take you deep within the mountains, or you'll be inlaid upon the shogun's statue. As for Itto, the threats are much less severe, like if you don't behave, Arataki Itto will come and snatch your snacks. See, much less severe of a threat, but not something that you'd like to happen either. But still, that's far from the truth of what Itto would actually do. Snatching a child's candy wouldn't happen, because according to Itto's code of law, the fate of the snacks would have to be decided by ritual combat. In the eyes of many people, winning snacks off of children through competition is exceedingly shameless. But Itto believes that every battle must be taken seriously, and treats them all as such. They're all treated the same, whether it's a battle against a child or the shogun herself. Also, due to his conviction, Itto can lose to a child without any reservations, the same as he could lose to anyone else. While the adults of Inazuma City have much to say about Itto's behavior, the children just see him as some sort of big playmate. Their competitions are often Onikabuto beetle battles. These are fun for both sides to watch and give the children a fair shot, unlike actually fighting them. For the longest time, the Tenryou Commission has seen the Arataki Gang as just sort of a troublemaker group who don't require too much attention. The group only has around 10 members at most, and there are many internal disagreements within the group anyway, mostly about the date of its founding. Akira believes that the group began when Itto first saved him from a group of bandits. On that day, Itto persisted in the fight even after being knocked down several times. The bandits eventually backed off in annoyance to his persistence. Helping Akira back to his feet, Itto declared him a member of the Arataki Gang. Genta and Mamoru believe that the gang was founded at the end of the year when they all camped on the outskirts of Inazuma City and roasted lavender melons together. On that day, not any of them had a single mora to their name, and they were all very hungry. While eating a lavender melon himself, Itto declared that they should do that every year as a sort of tradition. In Shinobu's perspective though, the gang was officially formed when she had to drag Itto out of the shogunate jail, since this was the first time that any official records were made about the group. As for Itto, he believes that the gang has existed from the first moment that the words entered his mind, though unfortunately he no longer remembers when that was. And as for Granny Oni, the human who has taken care of Itto since he was young, there is no such thing as the Arataki Gang. She just sees Itto and his friends.
In the Arataki Gang, we're proud to welcome people who've experienced adversity in their lives. Don't listen to the people who call us freaks or weirdos. Every member of my gang is like family to me, and they all feel the same way. Whatever happens, the gang will face it together, both the highs and the lows. Nobody questions my leadership in the gang. What I say goes. Except when it comes to Shinobu. She's always challenging everything I say, and not only that, all the hard-earned loot I bring back and share with everyone, she goes and returns it. But also, she gets me out of jail and out of every mess we get ourselves into, so I'll let it slide. Besides, I don't want to get on her bad side. An angry Shinobu would make my life a nightmare.
The Oni have called Inazuma their home since ancient times. They existed alongside the Hakushin Kitsune bloodline and the Tengu. Yokai like them often have supernatural abilities, but the Oni lack many special traits. Other than the horns on their heads, the Oni are mostly remembered for their explosive tempers and tendency to make trouble. As for their fear of beans, it has a real scientific basis. Oni are actually highly allergic to beans, but because of how much the Oni bloodline has thinned out over time, most people display only very minor allergic reactions. But unfortunately for Itto, because of his Oni heritage, Itto is extremely allergic to beans. Even touching one can cause him to go into shock, not to mention eating them can cause him to be bedridden for days at a time. This makes beans the only thing that carefree Itto is wary of in his daily life.
I am an Oni, so there's nothing I hate more than beans. Soybeans, mung beans, whatever, I hate them all. Just touching one is enough to set off my allergies, let alone eating them. We have to get people to resist this constant urge to throw beans everywhere.
And to do their part, the Arataki gang members are careful not to order any dishes containing beans, not even in private, as a way to show respect to him. Of all foods containing beans, Itto fears fried tofu the most. He claims that even the sight of it leaves him sick for 3 days straight. When someone mentions fried tofu to Itto, a certain victory comes to mind. One day, after a long day of work, Itto went to sit in a chair outside of his favorite food stand. But going there, he found a fox-eared lady sitting there instead. A contest of words started between the hungry Itto and the lady, which turned into a fully unnecessary battle. Itto, being hungry, chose an eating contest. The lady chose the theme of Kitsune ramen. Itto was at a loss when he realized that the ramen contained fried tofu, but with his pride on the line, he continued anyway to victory. As for the chair, it was given to Itto by the food stand owner as a trophy.
I crushed that Kitsune ramen eating contest we had. Even all that fried tofu couldn't stand in my way. She didn't come close to beating me. I was, bedridden for more than a month after that. But you know what? I'd rather lie in bed a winner than walk away a loser. So, anyway, I had the last laugh because she had to foot the bill for 32 bowls of noodles. Ha ha!
As for the other contests that Itto has been a part of, 2 in particular stand out to him as rather frustrating. One of them is a rematch that he demanded of Kujo Sara, who defeated him and took his vision as a result of her duties in the Tenryou Commission. To this day, she refuses to agree to a street corner sumo match that Itto wants, and it frustrates him to no end.
You know what? Yeah, she beat me during the Vision Hunt decree. I'm not ashamed to admit it. When you lose, you admit defeat. And when you screw up, you take it on the chin like a man. And anyway, let's not forget which one of us won't agree to a rematch. Her, the Tengu warrior. It's just a sumo street fight. I mean, what's she so afraid of? If she keeps snubbing me, I'm gonna have to stop calling her Kujo Tengu and start calling her Kujo Chicken. We'll see what she thinks of that.
The other is something that happened many years ago when Itto was young. He had gotten into an argument with a young Tengu, which resulted in a sumo match in the Byakuya Plain. Unexpectedly though, the fight sent them both barreling down the side of the mountain. In the end, the Tengu ended up carrying Itto all the way home because he couldn't walk after spraining his ankle. This match has also gone unsettled. Both of these incidents had to do with Tengu, and Itto doesn't understand how they're so strong despite looking so skinny. Every Oni child has heard the ancient tale of the Crimson Oni and the Blue Oni, how the gentle and helpful Crimson Oni defeated the wicked Blue Oni and won the respect of the humans. This was Itto's favorite story as a child, and he has always been proud of his red Oni horns and Crimson Oni lineage. This pride, however, was once shaken by a certain incident. When incidents of robbery started happening in young Itto's village, his family fell under immediate suspicion because of their Oni heritage. Though he no longer remembers the details of what happened, he remembers the disgusted and wary stares of the villagers at him and his parents as they left the village, as well as their parting words, once an Oni, always an Oni. No matter the time period, humans just saw all Oni as the same. In that case, wouldn't it be better to be a Blue Oni who the humans feared, Itto thought? That would be preferable to him and his parents being driven out of their village despite doing absolutely nothing wrong. After Itto's parents died of illness, he was turned out to the streets on his own. He would lay into anyone who spoke down upon his race, though it was mostly the others insulting him. But he proved to be resilient, never giving up no matter how many times he was knocked down. But still, he was only a child, and eventually collapsed on the street due to exhaustion and hunger after a round of beatings. At this moment, Itto was saved by an old woman, a human woman. She cared for him from then on, despite him being defiant at first because she, a human, was never expected to care for an Oni like him. Itto never expected that kindness.
Granny Oni isn't an Oni at all. In fact, she's the kindest human that has ever lived. She only got her nickname because she took me in. If people have got a problem with me, fine. I don't care what other people think anyway. But I wish people wouldn't go after her because of me.
As a recent year was coming to a close, the Arataki Gang met to talk about how they might celebrate the new year. Unlike more reputable organizations, they didn't have any fixed venues to hold activities. The lavender melon roasting suggestion came up, but was quickly eliminated. Eating just lavender melons wasn't a good way to celebrate the new year. An Onikabuto festival was considered, but since the end of the year wasn't mating season for the beetles, they wouldn't be nearly as motivated as they usually were to fight. Eventually lots were drawn, and the Great Sing-Along was selected. This activity was suggested by Itto himself. It entailed everyone standing on an oceanside cliff, singing against the wind to express their feelings and well wishes for the future. Many of the gang members rejected this idea in their hearts when they found out about it. Shinobu even said that she'd like to leave and return home on that day, but the event went on nonetheless. Yelling at the wind proved to be quite soothing, and as things turned out, Itto turned out to be a pretty good singer. How did Itto get his vision? This story turned out to be kind of anticlimactic. He just found it under his hip after waking up one morning. That day, he went around excitedly telling everyone he met that he'd received a vision. So much so that everyone got very sick of hearing the story. A few days later, the story changed a bit to Itto saying that you'd expect someone as great as the head of the Arataki Gang to have a vision, and then later to him saying that a person's worth isn't something that can be determined by them owning a vision. Being an Oni, perhaps the human standards don't apply to his receiving of a vision. However, the gods recognize his steadfast nature, pride, and good heart, which is more than likely why he was picked to have a Geo vision. Itto has always done everything he can to best care for his vision.
Don't even ask. Just the thought of it makes my blood boil. Ooh. First, the Shogun's army goes out and steals everyone's precious visions, which already a heinous crime, right? But then they go and stick them all over that statue with absolutely no sense of organization whatsoever. I mean, think about it. The more powerful the vision, the higher up on the statue it should go. That would make sense, right? But no, some Class A jerk in the Tenryo Commission thought it'd be funny to put my vision right at the very bottom. Come on!
Do you like the story of Arataki Itto? Subscribe if so, and check out this video next.